Your story is the #1 most read on the Bloomberg terminal right now. It's easy to see why. This is something that investors have talked about for many, many years. Easier said than done. When you have a 30-year mortgage that's flirting with 7% still, regardless of rate cuts, how difficult will it be to privatize Fannie and Freddie?
I think that's the question. And as you mentioned, it's a very challenging task. It's a very tall order that we're working with here. And especially because it's largely dependent on politics and what the environment is looking like. As I've been speaking to sources, many people are saying that it's typically a bit more of a conversation under a Republican administration. And specifically, we have President-elect Trump that's going to be coming in. And during Trump 1.0, he actually was interested in potentially bringing them out of this conservatorship. And so we are seeing a massive rally coming off of the fact that people assume that if he has more time to do so and he has 4 years ahead, that there is potential that we could see this happen.
What does the process look like? I mean, is it something that Trump could do? Does Congress have to act? It's more complicated, I think, maybe than it seems at first blush.
It's definitely very complicated, and I think that that's something that it is a pair with Congress. It's also Trump, but it's also about how do these companies look when they come out of it. I mean, of course, when we're thinking about what Bill Ackman is saying in his tweet, he's talking about the idea of an IPO. Now, these companies have been under conservatorship since 2008, so they've been under the government purview for quite a while here, and that's something that if it were to come out, people are wondering how they would actually do. I mean, of course, if you look at the stock, it's very, very low, but we've seen an extreme rally that people are comparing to potentially a meme stock rally.
We should point out that it would be a secondary offering, not an initial public offering. Right. Because the stock trades already.
This is very true. This is very true. But if that were to happen, and we did see this happen, that would be about 1,200% above what Bill Ackman's the initial purchase price was. So that would be an extreme gain, of course, for him and for others that decide to hop in on that trade.
So you could say that Ackman is talking his book here, but I think he's been pretty upfront about that. Let's talk about timelines. As you said, this would be a thorny process. This wouldn't be the first time that markets got really excited about a story and then had to wait for a little bit. But what are sources saying? What are analysts saying about when this might actually happen?
Right. I mean, so Bill Ackman does talk about late 2026. Now, analysts, I have been hearing people a bit more bearish about the idea of this actually occurring, but it depends on which side of the aisle that you're sitting on in terms of how this could potentially pan out. But it could take a while, and I've been speaking to sources that are saying that it wouldn't necessarily be a step one out of the gate thing that President Trump is interested in doing. It would likely be later in his tenure.